Hey, what's up tonight, everybody? So tonight we're going to be talking G.I. Joe Classified. I didn't plan on doing this video necessarily. It's kind of a last minute kind of thing I threw together just because this week I started buying G.I. Joe Classified. So I brought on a couple more seasoned collectors than myself, and my first guest tonight is Scott Davis. How's it going, buddy?
Good, man. Thanks for having me back. Good to see you.
Oh, yeah, no problem. It feels like it's been eternity.
Yeah, all right.
And the other one I brought on tonight, we'll bring him on, and it is Destro Rob from Destro's Desk on YouTube.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me back.
So, as you know, I just got into Classified this week. Literally, I bought my first figure, which was the Tiger Force Roadblock. I might be, I don't know, that was probably the first brand new G.I. Joe I got as a kid. I'm maybe a little bit younger, so when I went to the store for G.I. Joes, like Tiger Force, Python Patrol, all that stuff was already rocking and rolling, and I kind of missed out on that earlier stuff. But so yeah, I decided to get into Classified this week, and I want to bring you guys on, and you guys could school me and tell me what these Classified are all about. So I'm going to start with you, Scott. So how deep into this line are you?
I've managed to get in sort of at the beginning when the line hit. I'm being selective though, but when I did get in, a friend of mine managed to pick me up one of the Snake Eyes figure that came out, not the deluxe version, but the regular release, and I was super disappointed with it. It was a decent enough figure, but the QC on it was just brutal. Loose joints, floppy legs and waist. So I had not a lot of hope. So I kind of just quietly backed away from the line for a bit. And then kept an eye out for the odd figure that, I was keen on as a kid. So when I heard about Beachhead coming out, I was pretty excited. Of course, he ended up being part of the notorious Cobra Island wave, which was impossible to get, especially in Canada, but it was also really difficult in the States because it was a Target exclusive and super limited release. But I managed to get one of those, and it was a bit better quality overall. So I started keeping my eye out for figures here and there, and so I've been picking them up ever since, but very selectively because, toys higher price points now. I keep an eye out for characters I really like or designs I really, really like.
Yeah, and I think that's how I'm gonna start approaching the line, because my hands are dipped into so many different lines and stuff that it's like the prices are going up, and it's like, this is cool, and I kind of burned myself out on 3 3/4 Joes. Like I think I've gone through like collecting and selling that line like probably 3 times in my collecting life right now. But so we got Jay Dioramas. Yep. Hey man, how's it going?
Hey, Jay.
What's going on, Jay?
Thanks for coming out. So Destro Rob, how deep into this line are you, and what's your kind of take on it?
Well, kind of like Scott, I started. I guess I got started a little late. I didn't realize this line was coming out, and so I missed like Duke. I'm still looking for like Major Blood, a few of those early ones. But I'd say up till now, I think I've pretty much had I've got picked up every release. I'd say probably about wave 3 on. I was lucky enough to get a Serpentor, which I didn't think I was going to get one, but thanks to
it wasn't easy.
No, and I was lucky. It was after it was released. One of the GameStop managers here offered to try to get me one in, and he got it in. Well, it was only a couple days, and I really didn't get my hopes up. But very happy to get that. I was able to get a Dr. Mindbender.
Lucky.
Still got to unbox them and do some videos, but I go kind of slowly with my Classified figures because I really, really like them. And I know there's issues with, some of them, but overall, I mean, I'm not going to complain too much with them. I'm just happy that they're out, and at 43 years old, I can still buy them.
So what was your do you remember what your first figure was and what you kind of thought of that when you started getting into it? I know Scott got in early, so he had some of those QC issues that I've even heard about, but did you experience that coming in on the third wave?
No, I was surprised to hear Scott say that about the loose joints and stuff because
Scott hates everything. Just
It's true. I do.
kidding. No, go continue.
so I started with, I think it was at Toys R Us. I found the Cobra Commander, just the standard version. I got that. I had it for a while, and then I kind of just I wasn't in the collecting for that yet, and I guess kind of once I realized and started seeing them show up in stores, I started getting like with Flint, Lady J, all those early ones. I was able to get my hands on those, but I've been totally addicted to it ever since I started. Like I just love the fact that I can buy new Joe figures, and whether they're a little bit different than their original character or whatever. I like that too. They don't have to be spot on, but I know it's a new take on them, and I'm just love collecting them. So I'm really excited for the new ones that they've showed the pictures of coming up.
Yeah, for me it was I was at that Woodstock toy show, and I've been avoiding this line. Like I said, even in our last video we did, I was like, oh, I picked Gargoyles over GI Joe Classified, like whatever, I'm not doing that. But then I saw the Tiger Force bazooka, and a lot of people are like, it's not like, I don't know, it's one of the lower tiers, I think, with regular GI Joe collectors. Like, it's the Tiger Force and the Python Patrol are kind of a later thing, so it's not really a lot of people's nostalgia item. But for me, like I said, I kind of got in on that Tiger Force and Python Patrol. That's what was in the store when I was a kid. So when I saw that, I picked it up instantly. And after that, like, I ordered Zorana, I ordered the Python Bat, the Python Viper. So, but I'm trying to like pump the brakes a little bit here. I want to kind of savor the line. Like every time I get into something new, it's like gangbusters. I'm like into it. So
You're 60 figures late, and
yeah. Oh yeah, no, for sure. And I'm like, and actually I was really surprised when I was looking up some prices. Typically, like as a comparison, say you've got a Marvel Legend and it's been out for 2-3 months and it's fairly desirable. Well, you go on Amazon and it's like $68, $70. But I actually found when I was looking at classified, like even some of the early, like with the exception of Duke and maybe some of the other ones, but they're actually only maybe 10 or $15 more than they were at like maybe their initial release, which is not bad.
Mm.
And a lot of them were dipping below retail on sale, like on Amazon and
like I got
as well.
I think I paid $25 for Roadblock, like for the initial release. But the thing with him is he's got that futuristic like Alien 3 laser cannon thing. But I've actually got the minigun from a NECA Terminator 2 figure that I think I'm going to use for that figure when I get it. So
nice.
But so we're like, is that how you guys are approaching this collecting of this line? Are you pinging off the your favorites first and then just, or are you just like all in?
No, I'm picking very selectively the ones I like. Like, it's hard though. There's a wave coming up that's just all bangers. So, I could go all in on that wave that's coming out in September with Bazooka and Scrap
Oh,
Iron,
dude,
and
yeah.
it's a killer line. But so far, I've just been really selective, picking the ones I really wanted, and then keeping a relaxed eye out for any that are on a good sale price or come up loose somewhere. Then maybe I'll grab it. Like, I was on the fence about Stalker. I passed him a bunch of times in store, but I got him for a really good deal at a toy show. So I grabbed him. Great figure, but just wasn't high on my list. Wasn't one I connected with as a kid, so never had one. So didn't have the nostalgia factor. But yeah, then there's waves where, for example, the upcoming wave, they got Torpedo and they've just got so many accessories for them. If it's not on my list, but for the amount of stuff you get for the price point is really appealing.
Well, and that's kind of cool too. And we got a comment here. So Stonebender says you missed the first Firefly, but there's another one coming out?
Yeah. So they're doing one that's a more traditional outfit.
Beauty. Yeah.
The first release had a bit more of a stylized take on it. Killer figure. It's one I picked up again secondhand off of somebody who had grabbed one. So I paid below retail for it. I might have passed them, but killer head sculpt, cool gear, Neat take with a full flak jacket, like a longer coat.
Kind of bomb
So
squatty kind of looking.
very,
yeah.
yeah, really good looking figure, but I can see the appeal of having something a little more traditional.
So yeah, so Rob, where are you at? Are you like right in, like you're full bore, like give them all pre-order? Like where are you at with the line?
So basically, with kind of what you were saying with Amazon, I literally check Amazon every single morning, like every single day. I know exactly
I do
what's going
too
to
now.
show. But you're right, there are figures on there that are like $35.97 or whatever, like a regular retail. Yes, there's some older ones. So you get like the first Destro, like the number 3 version. I got them off Amazon, but I had to pay $60. But I'm like, I'll pay the 60 because I'm not going to see it anywhere else probably. But yeah, like I get a lot of stuff from Amazon. I very rarely pre-order anything because I kind of want to have the hunt a little bit, like the latest wave with the new Outback and Scarlet, or sorry, CoverGirl. I found like one in Guelph, and then I was like, oh my god, this wave is out at Walmart. So I hit like 4 Walmarts on my day off, like in the area, and I managed to get the whole wave by going to like 3 different Walmarts. So I rather do that. I think there's more excitement, and it's even more satisfying when you can find it in the stores. Like I said, I had a couple of them, like Recondo and Bazooka. It was at Toys R Us, and it was like, $90 for 2 figures, and I'm like, this is crazy. But I mean, I don't know. I love the line so much that I'm kind of willing to pay it, as long as it's not stupid prices.
Yeah, and that's kind of, then we like that kind of where you were curtailing it, kind of like the eBay buy it now prices. Like to me, it's hard to justify. Like, I'm looking around, and Serpentor's expensive. Yeah, I get it. The cool figure, but I'm seeing like such astronomical prices for them, and then you can like, Kijiji actually seems reasonable. I think the cheapest one I saw in there was 160 loose, and I don't know if he had harvested parts or what was going on, but to me that's like, yeah, that's where my regrets come in from not getting into the line a lot sooner. And I'll probably, and I missed out on the HasLab, so you're probably now, if you want that His Tank aftermarket, I wouldn't say $1,000 would probably be a stretch.
Yeah,
Well,
I think that's pre-orders. I'm seeing like people are selling their pre-orders for probably $900 or $1,000.
Oh yeah,
easy
easy.
for that His Tank. So
yeah. Plus, like, I mean, if you look at the price on that, the Sky Striker HasLab that just dropped, people were buying 2 and unloading them for $300-400 above the price. So,
So he's got an interesting question here. Do you guys know of? So he's got, to anyone, he's turning to the internet more to catch up. Do you guys know of any stores that you can get every figure that's ever been released, no matter like whatever the cost?
No, none right now. A lot of those first waves, they were pretty short packed here in Canada, and then they kind of blew out. And then any that were left over, people are putting them on clearance. Like those first roadblocks have been sitting around forever.
Oh, dude,
nobody
yeah.
wants them. There's a lot of really good, talking Canada e-tailers, but they clear stuff because they can't keep it and keep their margins. So there's not really any that's going to have any going back to the beginning. Some of the bigger ones like a DJC Collectibles, maybe Toy Snowman, CMD Store, maybe have a bit more stock. Zed Collectibles, maybe a bit more stock.
I didn't actually find. I was kind of browsing Big Bad Toy Store the other day, and they've actually got like a pretty decent selection still. Like I was thinking about getting my Crimson Guards there because they want $50 on Amazon, and they're still like $23-24 American on Big Bad Toy Store. So I was thinking about getting like a couple Crimson Guards there, but
keep checking Amazon for that Crimson Guard, because one day you'll see them at 53 something, and then the next day he's on there for 35. I'm pretty sure this morning he was $35 on Amazon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You
I must have
you-
just missed that. I
you-
just ordered another bat this morning. So
Yeah, you just got to keep them in your wish list and keep checking them. That's what I do with stuff. Like the Alley Vipers were the same way. They were $29.99 forever, and then they'd spike to 48, and then they drop back
Yeah.
down. And
yeah, they're 48.
yeah, so you keep an eye on them. They'll drop again, but they're also ones that were a little more plentiful. So even if on the secondary market, they're going for around retail and just above
Yeah.
most places.
Yeah,
The other
definitely.
thing too is check out, like, try to get to as many toy shows as you can, because that's where I've picked up quite a few of the older ones, the hard ones. I had an opportunity to pick up the Firefly, but I didn't at the last toy show I was at because they wanted 50. But usually you can find figures, they're kind of selling around 40. So, even if they've been out for a bit and you can get them for 40, it's not too bad.
Yeah, and that's what I paid for Bazooka at that toy show, I'm pretty sure. But like I knew the guy that ran the table already, so I don't know if he was charging more, but he cut me a deal at 40. So, and I was happy with that.
Nice. Yeah.
And then I think the other table I got, they had $35 a piece on the Python, Viper, and Bat, and I offered the guy $60 and he took it. So yeah, I don't think that's too bad, unless those are like peg warmers and I paid way too much. They're on sale somewhere for
Well,
15.
they're peg warmers here because they're Toys R Us exclusives in Canada. The Python and the Tiger Force, because they're Target exclusives in the States. So they're in, with them being retail 45 at Toys R Us, the price is too high and a lot of people are just avoiding them. So you can go into a good number. Like I know I go into my local one here in Kitchener, and there's easily a half dozen Outback, a dozen Bazooka, and a bunch of Python Patrol officers just sitting there, and they've been there forever.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Keep your eye
That's,
sorry.
oh no, go ahead, Rob.
I was just gonna say, keep your eye open for the retro card Gung Ho. I haven't seen them in retail. I had to pick them up at I picked it up at a toy show, but the colors, like the paint on the retro, is obviously to be more like his cartoon self, and it's so much better. When I first saw the Gung Ho, the original, can't remember what number it is, but the original release, and like I don't even know the color of his outfit on him. I don't think that's even a color that's known. It's really gross, and I'm just like, I'm not even going to pick up this figure just because of the paint color.
Yeah.
But man, when that the retro card one came out, I was all over that one. That's a beauty.
I've seen it a couple times with passed on it, but he's nice. He's a decent figure.
Yeah, and I think that's where I kind of prefer the retro card stuff, where it's kind of disappointing that they release these figures first, and you're like, wow, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, that's the one I want.
Yeah.
And now it's coming out after, but that's a famous Hasbro thing to do, right?
Yep. Totally.
So, and that was, they get you. And the thing that actually, when I picked up my first figure, the figure that kind of sold me on the line, like I like getting Bazooka, but I picked up that Viper. And as simple as it sounds, it was so cool that his clip comes out of his gun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just thought that was like the coolest thing. And just the detail on them, like, it's actually surprising, because I'm a avid Legends collector too, where they've been kind of on a decline. But with the classified, it almost seems like they're going up the other way. Like they're getting better with that. And then other lines they're kind of declining on. So
yeah, well, and they're definitely, they're I'll give them that they are listening to some of the fan commentary, because there was a lot of negative reaction around those earlier waves where they were a little bit too sci-fi. They were trying to do a kind of a sneaky cross promotion with their Nerf line, and some of the guns are actual Nerf guns. If you look at them,
oh, really?
Yeah. So they're just painted up like, but they're Nerf guns. You can see it on, I think Beachhead's one of the ones that got a Nerf gun, and a couple of the other ones got Nerf guns. So that I think they were trying to find that line between military and keep parents happy, so they went a little hard sci-fi. But now all the lines coming out are a lot more sort of what you traditionally expect with a GI Joe line, actual weaponry, simplified uniforms. No more big shin pads and shiny metallic bits on the uniforms. It's more like just straight simple, which is good and bad. Like I think some people appreciated the fact that they were trying to do something different, and then you had a very vocal group that really wanted just 6-inch version of that 3 3/4 figure from 1984. So it's a tough balance to strike, but the quality's definitely gone up for sure.
Something I don't know, Scott, if you've got the Sergeant Slaughter.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, that there is probably one of the best ones they've done. It is incredible. It is an incredible figure.
Yeah, it's funny. I know, like most people, when they were doing their sort of top 10 lists for 2022, had Serpentor really high, like as a figure across the board, and not just for the GI Joe line. But I actually enjoy the Sergeant Slaughter more. I think just the sculpt on it, the look of the figure, the interchangeable hands was big for me. I actually put Slaughter ahead of Serpentor, and I actually was lucky enough to get a Serpentor after 3 or 4 kicks at the can. But yeah, I enjoy the Slaughter more than the Serpentor myself.
Yeah, is the head sculpt, the hat, the glasses, it's spot on. Like when I pulled that out of the box, I'm just like, wow, that is. I did a video for that one because it's a beauty.
Yep, great figure, and luckily it's still relatively available. Like I've seen it in the last week and a half on the shelves.
I hadn't seen it around at all. I went to a toy show. I spent twice as much as it's worth, but it's one of those things where I wasn't sure if I was going to see it, but sure enough, like GameStop's had a few of them.
Yep.
Can't remember who else, wherever I saw it, but yeah, GameStop mainly.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like I've set sort of pre-orders now as my secondary, because thankfully it looks like supply chain issues that kind of hurt that line and a lot of other lines over the last few years are starting to settle out. So you're starting to see product in stores again, depending on where you are. I know, it was dry for a long time, and that's why those first few waves were so hard. But now it's like I had an Outback on pre-order with Walmart and Amazon, and then I was just randomly at a GameStop around the time it came out, and there was one on the shelf.
Yep.
And
they're actually being released. Like you see, actually, I guess on April 1st, they're finally going to release on Amazon this whole new wave, but this is the latest wave that I already picked up them all at Walmart.
Yep.
But Amazon's not selling them until the 1st. Same as the next wave. They're showing September 1st. So I think we'll see that next wave a lot sooner than September, but
hopefully not much sooner, because some of their release dates on everything has been pushed up. Like Nelson and I have talked before about Masters is all over the place. The Classifieds is a little bit. They're not as quite as bad, but Marvel Legends was really bad. Like I had a figure they were supposed to release in June show up 2 weeks ago. It's like, okay, that screws my budget, but whatever.
Well, that was like that recent the Snake Warrior and Snake Tila, their third quarter of this year, and they just showed up in my pile of loot. I was like, what? But aside from that, though, like the GI Joes, like you said, I've already seen all those figures you're talking about for April 1st at GameStop.
Yep.
Well, it's like they've got the Snake Eyes, the Falcons there, and it's like just even lately in the last like year or so, it hasn't been as frustrating to find things on shelf. And kind of getting back to that, like I know Rob, you say you're not pre-ordering, and now I'm trying to get out of that habit of pre-ordering, and I still do it for say a figure like, okay, I absolutely am sure I need this figure, so I'm gonna put a pre-order in a Big Bad Toy Store, but if I find it in the wild first, then I'm good to go. So and that's kind of, but I've got a scenario for you guys. So yeah, you're going to be stranded on a desert island. You can only bring 3 of the GI Joes that you have right now. So Rob, which 3 are you bringing to the desert island with you?
Well, definitely Slaughter. I would say Serpentor. And I'll throw another one out here that we haven't talked about, and that's Spirit.
Oh, dude, yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm like definitely getting that. So, yeah, Scott, what 3 are you bringing?
Oh man, that's tough. Retro card Snake Eyes. He just blew me away. Might be Storm Shadow. Just a killer figure, but the joints on mine are murder, and I'm very angry about it. And probably Slaughter.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I only have like 8 figures right now besides the ones I've ordered, so I'm probably just gonna bring the 3 I bought at the toy show.
There you go. Nice and easy.
Yeah.
Well, they're good
I don't have
figures,
many yet, but yeah, so a lot of this stuff too, and a lot of people we've been talking a lot about this one.
Yeah.
So it's this wave that's coming out, and I am so stoked for this wave. The only figure I know you like him, Scott, but I'm not stoked about the scuba diving guy there, Torpedo.
Because see, I'm on the fence about him, but he comes with so many accessories. It's just like, we talk about, again, Marvel Legends. You get a single figure for $35.99. $35.99, you're getting Torpedo with a figure, gun, set of flippers, scuba tank, mask. I think he's got a knife, might have another gun. It's just like an absurd amount of stuff. He should, I don't want anybody at Hasbro to hear me say this, should be a deluxe, but for regular price, it's just killer, and great sculpt, good detailing. It's one of those things that I don't have them on my list right now, but if I saw them, I'd probably grab them.
So are you all in on this wave there, Rob?
Yeah, I think so. That Copperhead, I think, looks really, really good. Rock and roll looks good. I mean, Bazooka, well, yeah, it's just a different color shirt. Different paint app for the helmet, and the rockets. He's got the yellow on the one, and then there's another one in his backpack there that's got the like the mouth on it, like you'd see on
the shark mouth,
like you see on a plane or like an old Mustang. But like, who's kidding who? I'm gonna get them all, but I mean,
and to me with this wave too, it was if I could find it here, this was the standout to me. This like battle
Scrap
unit
iron.
he comes with, like scrap iron, like, oh my god, like this thing is so cool. And his face, it just looks like he played with bombs and like knives his whole life. Like,
yep, you put him and that first release Firefly together, and
man, like that's where I was talking, where like coming from Legends going into like this line, it's like it's almost like blows my mind the amount of detail they're putting into these figures compared to like what other lines are doing, with maybe the exception of Black Series and the vintage collection are all right, but like they're these GI Joes, like they're like just smashing it out of the park with some of these.
And it doesn't help, or I guess hurt, that they're putting some top level product photography around them, and it's kind of like the old card art on the old 80s figures. Like that card art really sparked your imagination. Some of the product photography they're doing, like I don't do action figure photography, but this is the sort of stuff that I see, and it really gets me excited about having a figure and getting to mess with it and look at the poses you can put it in, and the amount of articulation that's in them is just really impressive and a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, man. So we've got a couple. Oh, just before you go, Rob, there we've got some other people's choices here for their desert island getaway. That's not bad. I don't know about. Yeah, Pimp Destro's coming out. It sounds like they're just going to party on the island. And then we've got the Sergeant Slaughter and Storm Shadow seem to be the go-tos for these desert island retreats, I guess. But
I want to keep my eye out for the retro card Storm Shadow. He should be going up for order soon. Pretty simple switches, but
I haven't looked into that one yet as far as what the differences are.
I know they got rid of the gloves and the gauntlets, and he's just got the
Yeah.
wraps, and I think they've streamlined the costume a bit. But yeah, just some of the stuff, and I don't know. I'm curious to see if the articulation is a little bit better than the standard release, because I'm terrified to move the joints on the legs on my Storm Shadow because they're so tight. I've done the whole hot water trick, and they're still kind of tight. And I know somebody who had Spirit and went through 3 of them because the leg post kept tearing when he tried to move them.
Oh wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing the ones that I have unboxed in my shelf. I don't have any crazy poses or anything, because I don't want to force those joints too much. But that actually with the photography is something I want to get into relatively soon, I think. But I think when I see it online, on Instagram or whatever, guys that are doing really good photography with these figures, with like dioramas and all that, I think these figures are so detailed and look so nice that it makes these pictures look like they're, like it's like right out of a movie or something.
And that's when you say dioramas are like, I'm typically a world builder with the stuff that I do. So I've already got this like kind of vision where I'm going to do like more of a vertical diorama, and I want to do like kind of a cliff battle with a cave and like all that kind of cool stuff. But
Nice.
It's just kind of picking right now. I'm just kind of basing my decision on which characters to get. Kind of like, well, I'm not going to get the scuba diver dude because what's he going to be doing on a mountain? Like that doesn't make any sense.
That's when you put like a lake at the bottom of a cliff. Switch
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's high diving into it.
There you go.
But it's like that. What was that show where they were like Snow Job, like and all the other snow dudes? I think it was Robot Chicken. They were teasing him. They were like, "Hey, Snow Job, we got a mission in the Arctic." He's like, "Really?" And they're like, "No." And then it's just like that on what was the other one? Fumbles. That one was hilarious too. Did you guys see that on that Robot Chicken? Like some of the stuff they'd done on there is like ridiculous. But going back into the go ahead, Scott.
Did you see the Snow Job figure?
I'm not a fan. He's too clean or something. Like it's just like he just like that's his brand new uniform and he doesn't want to get it dirty or something.
Yeah, it's true.
Like even when you're like out, like if you're in the Arctic in the battle, you're gonna have some like dirt and like maybe some polar bear crap on you or something like that. But like going back to the classified, the thing that I was stoked to see, and it's a very silly thing I think to get stoked about, but I love this vehicle in the 3 3/4 line.
Yep.
And when I saw that they did this and it's actually not that expensive to round this up right now, to be honest.
Yep. And
Like,
they've already done a repaint of it with Duke and Tiger Force colors.
Yeah, and actually that was like the next one I was going to get to. This I absolutely like. This is Toys R Us in Canada, right?
Should be, I think.
You cannot get this anywhere else.
I haven't seen it at Toys R Us yet.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's slowly trickling in.
Okay, yeah, I really want this one. Like, I wasn't like Duke's not one of my G.I. Joe A-list characters just because I don't tend to gravitate towards that type of personality, but like that's really slick. Like I always love that Tiger Force paint job.
And see, this is where like I wish they'd gone back, because this is very much sort of stock first version Duke, just repainted. And I wish they had gotten rid of the shin guards and just given them boots and pants.
See, as a sci-fi, as a sci-fi fan though, I don't mind those. Like I know you touched on that a bit before, but I kind of like those like sort of oversized like shin guards and maybe like a big shoulder pad and stuff, that kind of thing. But that's just kind of my taste, I guess. Like, how do you feel about the sci-fi editions there, Rob?
I'm okay with it. Like, I mean, these figures don't have to be exact replicas like of the 3 3/4 inch. So if it's kind of a bit of a new take on them where they've added in a little bit, I'm fine with that. That doesn't really bother me. I mean, I would prefer the original Duke, which I'm still trying to find, over that Tiger Force one. But I mean, I think I want the Tiger Force one for the paint on the motorcycle, because I just got the other one. not too long ago. I think it was at a toy show, and I was actually quite lucky because I only paid $40 for it at a toy show. Guy was trying to unload a bunch of his stuff, but it's a breaker. That was a breaker, but I think that thing looks great. It doesn't matter what figure you put on the motorcycle. It's a great piece. So
I kind of wish they'd do like maybe a bonus thing with like some other product where maybe you get like a sidecar or like something like that, or something that, like a mine disposal unit. But that's like, there's nothing more badass than you got a motorcycle and it's got a gigantic like chain gun on the side. Like, are you kidding me? Like, no one's messing with you. I'm actually like wondering if like this chain gun would actually slow the bike down, like the bullets coming out of it. Like, that's just like, and that's G.I. Joe has always typically had that kind of like, well, you can have a tank or you can have this tank, you know what I mean? Like, they kind of go over the top with everything, which I think is that whole draw to G.I. Joe in the first place, really.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't know. And then a lot of people talk about this guy right here, and I know one of us has this coming.
So I'm so excited.
I know, you bastard.
But the only thing that it's hard to accept the fact that when I ordered this, like, I got to wait a year.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a year out from now, or this was when you ordered it?
I got it in the fall of 22, and it's not supposed to be out until the fall of 23. So, yeah, it's a bit of a wait, but looking forward to that day.
But this thing looks all, and it did hit all his tiers rather quickly, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew this one, like this, as soon as they announced this HasLab, I'm like, that one's gonna like explode. Like, that's awesome. Like, just like the red accents and stuff like that, it just takes that like vintage one and kind of like bumps it up to like the next level, right? Well, that's obviously what it's supposed to achieve. Yeah. But so I don't have any other pictures here. What other figures did those tiers hit besides the pilot?
The biggest one was Cobra Commander.
Yeah.
There's a female figure too, isn't there?
I think, is it a female driver?
Yeah.
Another.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the thing's got lights in it, which is just kind of bananas.
Well, then we get extra, or there's the extra weapons pack where there's more rocket launchers that attach to it. The back of it opens up, and I'm pretty sure you can sit figures in the back, so it'll be in that whole back section. It's all hollow inside. It's all done up nice. Another selling feature for me, not a big deal, but like that light that shines off the front, like onto the ground with the Cobra logo. I thought that was awesome.
Oh yeah, I did see that in one of the pictures. Yeah. That's a wicked nice touch. Like,
yeah,
and I like how. Well, I like how they incorporated, like in the vintage line, they had the Hiss, but was it the Hiss 2 that you could slide out and the troops could go in, or was that the Hiss 3?
Might have been the Hiss 3. I think the Hiss 2 was the blue one with the red, and it was longer. It was twice as long.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought you could get the guys in that, but I don't know.
You can get guys in it. You can get but it was like twice as many troops you could carry in it. It had 6 or 8 seats in the back.
So, and then with these HasLabs and stuff, do you guys has anyone actually checked out any of these figures?
No, not in person.
They got a lot of I did order one of the, what do they call them, like the bug
Swarm?
The Swarm. Yeah, I was hoping it was going to be here today to do the comparison, but
I've never seen those. What are those?
So this
the Action Force.
Yeah. So Bobby Valla, I guess he used to work on the classified line or Hasbro G.I. Joe stuff. Somehow realized that they hadn't renewed the Action Force name, like Hasbro, and I guess he like picked it up somehow. Like he put a trademark or a copyright on it, so now he's got all these figures. But he's got they've got started, and they had Slaughter first.
Yep.
But a lot of these, like, to me, like these two guys on the end here, like the one with the Spartan helmet, he's like kind of silly in my opinion. But there's definitely
the guy with the I don't know, you can't go wrong with the guy with the bone mask.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Skeletor guy. Yeah, he's awesome. And that one in the background there with the wings and stuff is the one that I've got on the way.
Nice.
And he wasn't like too bad. Like these are typically more expensive, but I just found it funny that Sergeant Slaughter was like in that kind of line first. And I know a lot of people buy the weapon packs for them and use them for their classified.
Yep.
But I might dabble a bit in those too. Like I do kind of like it, but it's obviously some of the appearances are kind of like the poor man's version of like a G.I. Joe. Like you see a lot of that influence. But the other thing is, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I don't know if you guys watch Articulated Chad, his channel, and he's right into all that in the Action Force. So actually listening to hit some of his videos, I am interested in the Action Force figures. I looked on Amazon; they're up and around $80 for the ones that they have on there. Where did you order them from?
I got my Swarm Dude off of like eBay, like really cheap loose.
Oh yeah.
Like he was a pretty reasonable price and shipping was $15. So I wasn't too bad with that, but they still have a few of them on Big Bad Toy Store and they're probably about $10 more than like a classified figure. But I don't know. I guess it's debatable. I'd like to get one in hand to see like what the difference actually is.
Yeah, me too. I haven't seen one in person.
Like I know some of the reviews I've watched on them, you can kind of tell they're like they kind of hate on Hasbro a bit. So of course they're gonna like really push the line. And have you ever heard of that channel Analog Toys?
Yep.
Yes.
So he's got a character in the Valaverse called Desert Rat, which is based on his like his military outfit or whatever he did before. So it's kind of neat. They draw stuff in like that. But yeah, the jury's kind of out on that. But so far, I'm like really stoked with what they've got going on with the classified line, which is kind of what I want to get to next with, if say tomorrow you got a job at Hasbro, like what kind of improvements would you add to the line? Like, what do you kind of feel it's missing right now?
One thing I'd like to see some better weapons as far as more paint apps on the weapons. Like you just said with the Action Force weapons pack, that was actually something I was considering looking for to use some of those weapons with the classified figures. I just find like when you mold a gun in the same color as like the mold of the figure plastic, like I think it was Beachhead, the green color gun. I know there's military guns, but not really that light of a green color. So I just think more detail on the weapons. Like they offer lots of weapons with the figures, so a little more paint apps, some stuff like that would go a long way, I think.
And I think that as a customizer too, I'm like, I'm already looking at this like Viper rifle here, and I'm like, well, I can paint this silver and this whatever color and would just make it pop a lot more. Like I do that with all my custom guns that go with any of my figures, right? Because you always get that like just flat color, like rarely ever. Like oddly enough, the only weapons I've seen with any differentiating colors on them is what's that, Fortnite or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like they actually do like some of their weapons. I was like, oh, okay. I almost want that figure just for that like Thompson gun he's got with the barrel mag on there. But yeah. So Scott, what kind of things do you think you'd kind of change around?
Well, I'd change price point, but that's a whole other conversation. Because I really like what they're doing. I like the articulation. I like that they're taking the feedback. They're making some changes to it. The soft goods that have been done on Serpentor and Dr. Mindbender haven't really hit that well. I know there's been a lot of complaints about color transfer from the soft goods onto the figures.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like Mindbender gets a black wash on them, so you have to like kind of clean that up. So, materials is maybe a thing. I'm more or less happy. Like it's the big things. They seem to be correcting the QC issues from the first few waves, which was one of my biggest gripes. And then it's price point and distribution are always kind of my hangups. Figure wise, I think they're doing well. they seem to be kind of addressing some of the representation issues that they had. Before it was basically like they were kind of meeting their representation of other ethnic groups by just re-releasing roadblocks. So we have like 6 roadblocks now, and then there's bringing Stalker and Spirit, and finally we're getting a Quick Kick.
Oh, quick!
So
Oh, that's cool.
he's,
Yeah.
he's way down the line, but he's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
I was like, have we not gotten a Quick Kick? We're like
Well, not
60 figures
yeah.
in and we don't have a Quick Kick.
Well, and it's
Set 'em up.
very random how they're selecting these figures too. I think. Are you guys? Do you guys see the pattern? Because I don't. It just seems to be like, yeah, of course you've got to get Snake Eyes out first. You've got to get Duke, blah blah blah. But now it's like they're being like, it's really random. I don't know. What's your take on it? Is it random, or do you think this is like a formula or something?
I think they're trying, like if they have a wave of 4 figures, 2 of them are probably, big name ones that everyone's going to want, and then they stick in the 1 or 2 that, if it was in another wave or if it was, done too early or whatever, they probably wouldn't have done as well. Like Zorana, why is she the first like Dreadnought other than Dreadnought other than Zartan, but and then another one is, what was the one I just saw? Oh, it's like Outback, right? Like,
oh
we
yeah.
got, why did we get gray haired Outback before like orange hair? You know what I mean? Like that was
very weird.
Like maybe I'm thinking if it was the other way around, if they put the one with his survival shirt, if they had come out with that one first, then if they came out with the other one, nobody would have wanted it because you know what I mean? So it's.
But then, I think a lot of people looked at it and said, like I did, oh, I'll just wait for the regular one because the mold's there. They're going to do it. It's the same with Rakondo.
Oh, yeah.
Rakondo, they're going to do regular Rakondo. So unless I see him dirt cheap somewhere, I'm just going to wait for the standard, Rakondo because I don't want to necessarily have a random Tiger Force guy, because that's not my preference. I'd rather just get the regular guy.
And that was, I thought with that Outback, I think it was the Tiger Force Outback they did. I thought that was a nice correction on the vintage one where it kind of looked like he's wearing like a kitty cat shirt.
Yeah. they tigered it up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. They actually put a tiger on there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because I always laughed at that original figure. When I saw that one, I was like, oh, they finally fixed that. Because it looked like he was wearing like, I don't know, like his daughter's shirt he found like laying somewhere or something. I don't know. But
you gotta do when you want to show off the ripped chest and everything,
Oh yeah, for sure. But I've definitely got to get my hands on that Spirit, and like stuff like that, like
he's
Spirit, the Snake Eyes.
So
yeah,
that's actually one of the cool things with the line is that they're leaning into the animal companions for them. Like the fact that Spirit comes with what's the friggin' bird's name now? Freedom. And he comes with 2 sets of wings. Like
I did see that, the spread ones, and then
unreal, and Croc Master with all his Crocs. I know some people are grabbing a couple, so the Croc Masters, they got the figure in like 4 crocodiles.
Oh my god, I saw so many Croc Masters on eBay for sale without the crocodile.
Yep.
Like I think he was like $20 to pick up or $25 without the crocodile. But I thought that was funny. I was like, people are armory building like this stupid crocodile. I was like, okay.
Yep. There's there's was it Max and Mutton Junkyard or down the pipeline?
I was gonna say too, yeah. Didn't they? I thought they haven't released announced Law and Order yet, right?
No.
I want that one so bad. I was like, I love that toy as a kid, man. For some reason,
I'm really looking forward to Shipwreck.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
He'll come with Polly.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, like they're obviously they're planning this line out for like we're good till at least the end of 2023. Like I don't know, and it's odd. Like, oh, go ahead. Yeah,
I heard they want to be at 100 figures by the end of 2023. So,
I heard my wallet just scream.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, that's why I'm being selective, right? Is
Yeah.
they're going full bore, which I get. The momentum's there from the fan base, and if you got things like Marvel Legends dropping off, they got to fill that void in the profit margin somewhere. So
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
they're found their stride with these figures, and your HasLab gets complete easy. Keep
Well,
on
and
going.
that's a nice thing too, right? Like a lot of people for a lot of years, like you didn't get much for GI Joe. You got those really dumb figures with the really long legs, and
Yeah.
like they were just goofy.
Sigma 6.
So, yeah, and then like GI Joe Extreme, like they've tried to like reboot this line so many times. The 25th, it got a momentum and like, but not, I don't think what they wanted. But it seems with Classified, they've finally found kind of like the vessel to move the property forward. Honestly,
Yep.
Yeah, like that, and that's just like for me, like 40 years later or whatever, like we're buying these figures again, but as adult collectors, a 6-inch figure of some of your childhood favorite characters, like it's awesome. And the detail, and if they have good releases with the good head sculpts, and and everything works, it's awesome to have a 6-inch figure on your shelf of the stuff that you had when you were a kid. So
yeah,
definitely brings it out, like the detail that you kind of wanted there. That it's interesting because I've seen a lot of the 25th anniversary figures, and I mean they've been in steady production for GI Joe stuff over the years. The distribution seems to be a bit of an issue, and they tried to do some stuff and try and get the detail in there in that 3 3/4 size, but it's just not quite the same as what you're getting out of the 6-inch.
Just being able to, again, like to buy GI Joes, like I've been just going crazy with all things GI Joes. Like when I was in London there a couple weeks ago at Heroes, I picked up I think like 7 or 8 the original Marvel GI Joe comics. Like
Nice.
a lot of the stuff that I didn't get to experience when I was a kid. Like I never read comic books as a kid, so like now again I'm buying this stuff that's like 40 years old, 35 years old, and I'm enjoying it. And it's like I want t-shirts, I want hats are kind of hard to come by, so I'm thinking I'm gonna get like a couple of patches off like Etsy or whatever, like the Cobra logo, GI Joe logo, slap. You can go to Lids and buy blank hats, and just and put them on. Like I'm all in with GI Joe right now. I was dipping into Marvel a little bit, but I've kind of pulled right back out because I'm just sticking with GI Joe.
So that kind of brings me sort of my next question. Like when you guys buy figures, like we got a comment here. So he gave his breaker a submachine gun. Are you guys like, no, these weapons go with this dude, or are you guys having fun with it, mixing it up? Like
my guys usually end up just sticking to their stuff. Just because I'll put it together, and one of the perks about the Classified line is that they have designed it so everything stores on the figure.
Yeah,
you
that's
don't
huge.
have like random bits. Like I know with some of my Marvel figures or DC figures, I'll have a Batman grappling gun because it's just an extra thing, and I'm not setting them up with a grappling gun that's got a line on it, so it's in a bin. Like I've got boxes, like organizers on my desk with all the bits for other stuff. The beauty about Joe's is like everything fits on the figure and you're good to go. So you can get them posed up with a gun, like my Outback, shovels there, lights there, knives there, guns there, like everything is good to go. That's everything that came in the box right on the figure. So
that's huge.
Yeah. I did notice that too. And it's like with Marvel Legends, like hands, man. Like I must have like 2 tackle boxes full of just fists.
That is the one thing I'll say about Slaughter. Like Slaughter he's the one guy out of the entire line that came with a bunch of hands. And you're not going to be able to put extra hands somewhere. He doesn't have an opening backpack or anything.
Yeah.
And that
would be kind of creepy if that'd be really creepy if Slaughter had a bag full of hands.
Yeah. That's very. I remember Universal Soldier, Dolph Lundgren's character with the ear necklace.
Yeah.
Yeah, Slaughter going next level, but I like the extra hands. outside of all the other gear, like it's nice to have extra hands because you can have them in different poses. Like I happen to have my Slaughter, with his AK-47 and his like hand pointing out, leading his like battalion.
And that makes sense for that character, right? He's like, rah,
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. And and the other thing with that point, I love the rock and roll hand that they gave him. Like that's like
Killer.
awesome. That is so good. But and I'm seeing actually a lot more creators get in on this stuff. Like there's a guy, have you seen the guy that prints 3D prints the 1/12 scale APC and the Rattler and stuff?
Oh no.
I think he ships them out for like $500 or $600 painted, ready to go.
Yeah.
And I think he does the Vamp too now. But like some of these other third-party creators are like starting to get into this, so the ball is going to get rolling pretty hard, which kind of segues into one of my last questions here for you guys tonight is if you had like an ultimate, like it can be say a series of figures, vehicle, like so. It's your decision what the next HasLab's going to be, and regardless of it funds, you guys are getting one. So Rob, what's your wish list thing here? Can be whatever you want, like the biggest thing on earth. Doesn't matter.
I'd say if they release one of the original motorized tanks,
The Mobat or something like that.
Yeah. I've got one of my original one is on my shelf. It still works too. Something like that in a larger, well, the proper scale, but the size of it would be awesome. And probably a Rattler too, something like that. I mean, that would be nice, something to go along with the Sky Striker. But
they'd be so huge, man.
Yeah.
But someone in the chat here had an interesting. So they gave their Sergeant Slaughter a horse.
That's awesome. I have that horse too. I might try it. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So he's a mounted officer. You should paint him up like a Mountie or something like that. Free.
It's
Canadian.
funny. There's the 3 3/4. Someone's done a run of Slaughters done up in like a red tank top, and it's on a card called the Mountie. They're pretty sick. I see guys kind of buying them, trading them around on some of the Joe Facebook sites.
That's pretty funny, man. So Scott, what's your HasLab project? What are you gonna get funded for?
You know what? I don't know if I'd bother with a HasLab. I think I'd want to. The one thing I'd like to see come up, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's not on the radar, is a Night Force line, because Night Force is like I am never gonna afford a Night Force figure. But like if I could get a couple of Night Force, like a Night Force Shockwave is like my Grail Joe figure. So if I could get that in a 6-inch scale, I'd be pretty psyched with that. Because like I said, like I mentioned to you guys before, I don't have space for the vehicles. I'm on the fence about Copperhead because there's no water moccasin. Like the vehicles aren't really in my wheelhouse, but like if you're gonna do maybe a Night Force line, that'd be pretty cool. I'd
would be really cool.
I really dig the color schemes on a lot of those guys. So I think if I was gonna tell them, to turn the lights on something, it'd probably be a Night Force line.
Oh, so I think my line would be, I think I would want the entire run of Battle Force 2000. No, I don't want that.
You don't want
we picked Battle Force 2000. That's weird.
Right? Or what was the Eco Warriors? You want an Eco Warrior?
The septic tank. You remember that?
I would take a cesspool though. Give me a cesspool.
I kept my cesspool when I left. When I got rid of like my Marvel Legends, I was like, I could throw him in my Star Wars universe. He's an ugly, deformed, whatever.
But I think
for classified, even if it's like something like the Rambo Tower or something from back in the day, I want a play set, like some kind of place, like a throne room or like a mountainside kind of thing I was talking about.
Checkpoint Alpha.
Remember that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
That'd be easy to do. You do that at like a $45 price point,
I'm wondering if
they'll a couple extra guns and
go ahead.
Foot Locker.
I'm wondering if they did the Mattel Creations did the new Eternia playset, which is pretty huge. I'm wondering if they Hasbro would ever attempt the original G.I. Joe base
or the Terrordrome.
Or the Terrordrome, yeah.
That to me, that would be something. I think that would have to be like a couple $1,000 in their eyes to justify even doing a HasLab. And like that would be great. Like I don't think you would ever see the USS flag in 112. Like no one's got a house big enough for it.
Right.
Like that's ridiculous, right?
Yeah,
And
even
you've got,
the headquarters of the Terradrome would be massive. Like the
but
shipping
even if
on that alone.
yeah, but even if they did like on the cartoon, they had that like just that centerpiece of the headquarter with the big like cannon that
Yeah.
comes out. That would be an awesome, or like the Cobra throne room or something like that, like with the flags hanging down and all that crap. Like I think that's like, yeah, it's definitely something you can hope for down the road. It all depends really like how successful this line's going to be. But from what I've seen, just as like coming into it new, like pretty much in the last couple weeks, and kind of just like sort of discovering it for the first time, I was always like, it's almost like you don't want to look at it, right? You're like, I know I want it, but I'm not going to look, so I don't pick it up.
Yeah.
So now that I'm kind of into it, like it's actually, like I said before, it's like quite shocking to me the difference in quality. Like you can tell Hasbro is putting some money behind this, and I think that it is gaining like I said, they finally found kind of their pilot to take this franchise off into kind of like another level because it's struggled for years and years. But yeah, guys, we're pushing like an hour. It was great talking classified with you tonight. Do you guys have any like final thoughts or anything you want to get off your chest about the line before we sign off for the night?
I was just gonna say it's not the classified series, but have you guys? I'm sure you've checked out the Super 7.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The
I
Ultimates,
saw,
yeah.
the Ultimates. I saw a review for Duke, and I think that is the. Now it's not going to scale up with the classifieds, but because they're 7-inch, but the Duke is the closest thing to the original cartoon I think as you can get. Like it looks phenomenal. Same with the Cobra. I'm not as big onto the Bat, but like the Cobra Commander and Duke, I think I'm at some point we'll be trying to acquire those because I think those are just really well done pieces. Hopefully the paint apps are good, but
yeah, the Snake Eyes is the one for me because it's pure Sunbow entertainment, like purple visor, blue costume, no gloves, like just like action figure perfection, but it's just too high a price point.
Yeah, I mean you're looking at 80 or $90.
Yeah, oh yeah. But it's funny you guys mentioned that because for me, I grew up out in the country, so I didn't have like cable and stuff like that. So my first exposure to G.I. Joe was the comic books that were much more mature. So I don't really connect with that Sunbow cartoon. Like I've watched it a million times now because you can watch them free on YouTube. But for me, it was like some of the first issues I read some early ones, but the issues like say where the Saw Viper, I think it was, shoots like Doc right in the face when he's trying to climb up. I'm like, oh, well, G.I. Joe's pretty cool. And then I tried to watch the cartoon later, and I was like, what's going on here? Especially some of those episodes where they've got the one where they're supposed to be entertainers, and you got the dog dressed up like something, and Snake Eyes is dressed like a woman, and like Shipwreck's supposed to be like this awesome jazz dude, and they're like singing and dancing in front of the Cobra soldiers to get through the checkpoint. Like that to me, it was like it's fun to watch, but for me, I'm more on the comic book side of things.
Yeah, that's the thing. I can't remember if it was that episode or another one where can't remember what the character's name was, but it was basically Cobra Commander wearing a trench coat and hat. I can't remember. It was like
that was all. I just watched
that was Transformers.
Yeah, it was a Transformers like crossover episode where he like popped in. I would love to see them like squeak that figure out somewhere along the line, but
yeah, that'd be cool.
There is an episode of the G.I. Joe, the Sunbow one. I just watched it before the stream where he is in like disguise or something, but it's ridiculous because he's just wearing like some stupid hat and a trench coat, but you can clearly see his like chrome face and blue uniform. Or it's like that scene where they're gonna get crushed by everything, and the parrot spouts out the password, and it's like recognizes his voice as like accurate. Like it's like, so one of the Cobra soldiers sounds like a parrot. Like what's going on here? But no, like yeah, regardless of it, like I think the G.I. Joe classified line is gonna stick around for a while. It's odd that they went online in Europe, but maybe that'll change. Maybe they've had a slump over there. I don't know. Europe's a different ball game. But I think for the future, like, yeah, this line's going to keep going. And I think it's, you'll see the end of the 3 3/4 O-ring line before you see the end of this one, I think for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's having a bit of a resurgence too. The O-ring line, they're re-releasing.
They're
them.
so
I mean,
expensive though. Like, oh my
yeah,
God.
well, they're doing them kind of like, premiums from Hasbro Pulse. So, it's
But
not
yeah.
unfortunately showing up like regular retail, but yeah, they're definitely going to be moving away from that line apart from like exclusives, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. But no, definitely, I'm definitely stoked to be into the classified now. I'm already thinking about, like I said, my dioramas and stuff like that.
Can we just
And yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming on and kind of schooling the noob on what GI Joe Classified are all about. And obviously, you guys are in for the long haul. And now I'll be bugging you guys when you are selling off your older figures. After they release 4 more versions of Duke or something like that, I'll buy your old ones off you.
Well,
But,
I'll try to help wherever I can. Whenever I see something, I'll let you know.
Like I'll
pick it up for you.
I'll totally give you $100 for that HasLab when it comes in, no problem. But again, thanks to everybody that came out and commented in the chat and stuff. And I want to thank Scott and Rob for coming out tonight. And yeah, until next time, take it easy.
Thanks, guys. It was fun.
Take care.
Take care.